So here we are taking a full lap once again with another range of smartphones, but this time in the Huawei P series. We had a really good experience with the P50 Pro and its 64-megapixel periscope camera, but this might be missed in this mid-range of the P50. Nonetheless, the bells and whistles that came in the Pro variant are still present here, including a Snapdragon 888 chipset, the well-respected Leica optic dual matrix camera construction with XD Fusion, as well as other familiar traits found in both the P50 Pro and P50 Pocket. Does this make it a formidable choice for users looking for a slightly cheaper price tag? Or does making some minor cutbacks appeal less overall? Well, we'll let you decide on that front while we take a deep dive into Huawei P50. For starters, the approach for removing the mirror-like finish found in the P50 Pro feels like a much wiser decision, considering how it may have looked like a stunning design on its own, but practicality, it was a major fingerprint magnet and a bit ostentatious for some who aren't keen in drawing too much attention. This cocoa gold colorway and a muted matte finish is much preferred to our eyes and even feels better in the hands. Even its screen has been stripped down from the over-the-edge curved design to now a flat-edged 6.5-inch display. Overall, this really does make quite a significant difference in how much more manageable it now feels and oddly more refined, despite the cutback from the 6.6-inch display in the Pro variant. Either way, you still get an 88% screen-to-body ratio with reasonably thin bezels and a punch hole cutout housing the 13-megapixel front-facing camera. The 6.5-inch True Chroma OLED still retains a very punchy bright output, supporting P3 white color gamut reaching up to 1 billion colors, topping at 90Hz refresh rate and a 300Hz touch sampling rate. Noticeably a step down from 120Hz, yet still manages a 458 ppi density, showing overall consistent colors from edge to edge of the screen and makes a very smooth viewing experience. However, this might be a deal breaker to those who might be looking for an all-rounder that could also match gaming specs of higher refresh rates. Sound experience-wise, it still comes with stereo speakers and produces considerably loud outputs reaching up to 89 decibels and averages around 65 decibels on our audio test. Watching movies or videos should feel relatively immersive and truly has clean highs and mids for dialogues or speech-driven content. Music tracks, on the other hand, may lack in depth and might be a hit and miss if you're looking for something with better low-end outputs. With 8GB of RAM, Snapdragon's 888 and Adreno 660, our Geekbench scores record a decent 917 for single-core and 3154 for multi-core. Not exactly the highest performer of its class, but sits quite closely to the likes of a Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus while still outperforming it in multi-core scores. Even our 3D Mark wildlife test managed an overall score of 5,865 and gets an average frame rate of 35.1 and does 86% better than all devices. Temperatures show very reasonably linear readings of 40 degrees but may increase after longer periods of graphics rendering or gaming situations. Nonetheless, our experience on a few rounds of Call of Duty did get warm to the touch, but nothing too unbearable till we had the need to put the phone down. The contrast to the Pro variant is in its cameras, which consists of a 50-megapixel wide and a 12-megapixel periscope telephoto camera, losing out on the 64-megapixel periscope and the 40-megapixel True Chroma camera found in the P50 Pro. In our experience, this made a world of a difference when it came to image computations. Regardless, it's still equipped with Huawei's XD Fusion and produces very sharp images with a 50-megapixel wide. Colors may not exactly stack up to the likes of its Pro variant, losing out on the 40-megapixel True Chroma camera that managed highlights and shadows much better in daylight scenarios. In some instances, it did feel a little more muted than we expected, realizing how most Huawei outputs are usually higher in contrast and vibrance as shown in the Nova series. Possibly a post-editing feature Huawei may have been considerate of for users looking to edit their photos after the fact, but we'd give it a commendable pass for producing consistent outputs throughout different zoom lengths. Video outputs translate as well with these same faults, lacking some vibrance but still retaining sharpness at 4K at 25 frames per second and tops at 4K at 60 frames per second, while being capable of higher frame rates up to 960 frames per second at 1080p. Its battery had a shorter life than expected, reaching up to only about a day worth of use with its 4,100 mAh battery capacity. Fortunately, it still comes with a 66-watt fast charger in the box and should get you back to 100% in approximately 40 minutes. The Huawei P50 comes with Android 11, 8GB of RAM and storage options of 128GB or 256GB and has a starting price of 2,999 ringgit or 998 Sing dollars. It is considerably priced, if we must say, given how it's aimed to be a P-series mid-range variant. You could also look elsewhere in Huawei's lineup, such as the Nova 9 priced at only 1,799 ringgit, which also came with a 50-megapixel camera, a 120Hz OLED display, and even a slightly bigger 4,300 mAh battery. While it may be an older phone released late October last year, it really depends if it matters to you whether the latest phones on the market drives your purchasing decisions, or do the specs outweigh pricing values. To us, the P50 resembles quite a bit of the Nova 9 with some features of the P50 Pro and some comparative graphics performance that is much better than the Nova 9. Ideally, the P50 Pro would be your best bet and an all-rounder, and not to discount its better cameras. Then again, if you really looked at it from an overview, the P50 sits right where it belongs. Question is, should Huawei make another special edition to this series to compete with the Nova 9? Let's hope they don't.